The rain hit my face like tiny knives. I stood on the sidewalk at 2 in the morning. Suitcase beside me, soaked to the bone. Water streamed off my hair, mixed with the tears. I couldn't stop. "Get out!" the landlord had barked, shoving my last bag into my arms. "Your parents are dead. No more free rides." 8 months earlier, the phone had rung in the middle of dinner. "Miss Emily Carter? There's been an accident. Head on collision on the interstate. Both your parents. I'm so sorry." The world went silent after that. The funeral was just me and a handful of strangers from Dad's old office. No aunts, no uncles, no cousins. Mom always said we had no relatives left. I believed her. Now the little money from their tiny life insurance was gone. Rent unpaid. Job lost because grief made me miss too many shifts. I was 21. Alone. And the rain kept falling like it wanted to drown what was left of me. I dragged the suitcase under a bus shelter, curled up on the metal bench, and whispered to the dark, "What do I do now?" For 3 weeks I lived like a ghost. Shelters were full. Parks at night were dangerous. I ate whatever the church gave out, charged my phone at the library, and scrolled endlessly through cheap housing ads. Most were scams. Then one listing stopped my finger cold. Abandoned Victorian. $1. Needs full renovation. Serious buyers only. Back taxes paid. Sold as is. The photo showed a 2-story house with peeling white paint, broken shutters, and vines choking the porch. The address, 142 Oakwood Lane. Something inside me twisted. I knew that street. I had lived there until I was 7. Mom and Dad had packed us up one night and never looked back. Bad memories, they said. I never asked questions. The next morning I took the last of my money, caught the 3-hour bus, and stood in front of the house. The realtor looked surprised anyone showed up. "It's been empty 15 years, she warned. "Probably haunted," the locals say. I didn't care. I signed the papers with shaking hands. For $1 and a promise to fix it, the house was mine. My family's old home. I pushed the heavy front door open that same afternoon. The smell hit first: damp wood, mold, and something sweeter, like old perfume. Dust floated in the slanted sunlight. The floorboards groaned under my sneakers exactly the way I remembered in half-forgotten dreams. I dropped my backpack in the empty living room and whispered, "I'm home." The first nights were brutal. Rain leaked through the roof in 3 places. I slept on the floor in my sleeping bag, flashlight beside me. Every creak made my heart race. I spent my days cleaning. I scrubbed the kitchen until my hands bled. I patched holes with cardboard and tape from the hardware store. Slowly, the house started to feel less like a stranger and more like an old friend. On the 4th night, I found the first clue. While prying up a loose floorboard in the hallway to check for rot, my fingers brushed something cold. A small metal box. Inside was a child's drawing. Crayon sticks of a family holding hands under a crooked sun. My drawing. My name in wobbly letters at the bottom. Tears came fast. I sat on the dusty floor and cried until I couldn't breathe. Strange things kept happening. At 3 a.m., I would hear footsteps upstairs even though I was alone. A soft humming, like Mom used to do while cooking. I told myself it was the wind. Then I found the diary. I was patching plaster in the master bedroom when the hammer went straight through the wall. Not into empty space, into a small hollow. I pulled out chunks of drywall and there it was. A leather diary wrapped in plastic. Mom's elegant handwriting on the cover. "For Emily, only open when you're ready." I sat on the edge of the old bed frame and opened it with trembling fingers. Page after page, she wrote about money troubles, about a man named Victor Lang, who worked with Grandpa. "He's dangerous, Mark. He wants the trust. We have to hide everything." She wrote about leaving the house suddenly to protect me, and then the last entries, dated just weeks before the crash. "If anything happens to us, the safe is behind the kitchen wall. Combination is Emily's birthday. Tell her we loved her more than anything." My hands shook so hard the diary almost fell. I ran downstairs, found the spot where the wallpaper bubbled, and smashed through it with the hammer. Plaster exploded. Behind it, a small steel safe. I spun the dial with my birthday. Click. Inside were stacks of cash, legal papers, and a thick envelope addressed to me. I tore it open. The first document was Grandpa's will. He had left everything to me. The house, investments, a trust fund worth more than I could count. My parents had hidden it all because Victor Lang had threatened us. They chose to live poor and quiet rather than risk my life. But the real twist came in the last letter, written in Dad's handwriting the day before the accident. Emily, if you're reading this, we didn't make it. The brakes on the car. We think Victor tampered with them. We were going to the police tomorrow. The evidence is in this safe. Bank records, emails, everything. Take it to the authorities. And there's one more thing you need to know. I unfolded the final page. A birth certificate. Not mine. My twin sister's. Sophia. Given up for adoption the week we left this house because Victor had already threatened to hurt both girls. Mom and Dad had protected her by hiding her existence. A small photo slipped out. 2 identical baby girls in matching cribs. Sophia. And me. I dropped to my knees, sobbing so hard the walls seemed to shake with me. I had a sister. I wasn't completely alone. The next weeks were a blur of police stations and lawyers. The evidence was enough. Victor Lang was arrested for attempted murder and fraud. The trust fund was released. I used part of it to finish restoring the house. New roof. Fresh paint. Warm lights in every room. I tracked down Sophia. She lived only 2 hours away, raised by a kind family who had always told her she was adopted. When we met on the front porch of our family home, we cried and laughed and held each other like we had never been apart. Today the house is full of life again. I turned the upstairs bedrooms into a small shelter for girls who have nowhere else to go. Girls like I was. Every night, when the wind howls through the old trees, I no longer feel fear. I feel my parents' love wrapped around these walls. They didn't leave me with nothing. They left me with a home, a sister, and the truth that even in the darkest rain, something beautiful can grow. If you're out there feeling lost, remember this. Sometimes the place that broke your heart is the same place that puts it back together. Hold on. Your hidden room is waiting, and maybe, just maybe, you're not as alone as you think. The edge of the old bed frame and opened it with trembling fingers. Page after page, she wrote about money troubles, about a man named Victor Lang, who worked with Grandpa. He's dangerous, Mark. He wants the trust. We have to hide everything. She wrote about leaving the house suddenly to protect me, and then the last entries, dated just weeks before the crash. If anything happens to us, the safe is behind the kitchen wall. Combination is Emily's birthday.